Welcome back. David Feldman-Makrias here, and this might be my most important video yet. If you don't know this, your sales strategy will fail. And it's honestly not limited to sales strategy. There are a lot of different applications in business and even beyond that if you don't know these concepts or this core concept, then you're not going to make progress. You may think that you make progress, you might make little incremental progress, but it's not massive action. And what I want to talk to you about today is not only focusing on, the failure. No, I want to give you guys this itemized example that if you follow can guarantee your success, not only in sales, but a lot of different endeavors in life. And anything that you might have been successful with in the past, you'll be able to look at this strategy, look at this outline holistically, and understand the application of it in your past to say, okay, oh, that's how I became successful in that, or that's how the ball actually moved forward. So, without further ado, if you don't know this, then your sales strategy will fail. Well, what does that really mean? It's by knowing your numbers. Know the numbers. And let me just one more time know your numbers. Numbers don't lie. I love numbers. Like, what do we need to know specifically to make sure that our business will thrive? Any business has to sell something. I don't care whether it's products, services, a combination of both. You need to know the numbers. And I find that my marketing expertise has taken, and I foresee this happening too. I think the marketing expertise is going to take more of a back seat as things become more and more automated to understanding which numbers to pay attention to and how to help move those numbers in the right direction. So let's get started. All right, per usual, I have a Google Doc for you all. Of course, it'll be accessible within this video. You can just go down in the description to see it, but we're going to outline it together. And I'm going to really just focus on a business example, even though this can be applied to a lot of different items in life. And I want to focus first on one category of numbers. It's the numbers that you can control. There are certain instances, and I know from selling experience and really anything, there's only certain things that are within your control. You don't have control of, the person that you're selling to, even though we might think we do. Maybe we have influence, but we don't necessarily have control of that person. We don't know what's happening in their life. We don't know if they're actually the one to really truly make the purchasing decision. We don't know what other factors are in that purchasing decision other than the ones disclaimed. We can make best educated guesses, but do we really know and can we really control the situation? No. So what we need to focus on is the numbers that we can control. And I actually picked this up from a corporation that I worked for. You have to know the numbers that you can control. So I'm going to take this in a sales focus. Anybody trying to build, could be an online business, could be a sales strategy for a corporation. It could be just a brand. I'm going to give an example of those few elements, and I'm going to get into them right now. Okay, I'm going to start with 2 bullet points. One is branding, and one is cold outreach. There's a third bullet point too. It's follow-ups and actually conversions. And this is really, a lot of people and a lot of marketers would actually describe this as knowing what your funnel is. We're basically establishing a funnel, but we're taking it in numbers that we can control to understand how many people pass through each different stage. And some of these items actually work together. They all can work together, but they can also work interchangeably and in tangents. So let's understand branding first. Branding is what? That's the items that you want to, if you're building a business, you want to put your brand out there. And honestly, investing in brand, even though it's the long-term strategy, usually yields highest dividends over the long haul. I see it in paid campaigns. I see it in just organic campaigns. from a search engine perspective, if people know and identify your brand and think of your brand in a certain way, then that brand dividend is going to pay off hugely. There's a big, big emphasis and focus on branding. Then we have other items that are more like faucet on, faucet off, I call them. This is more like when you don't have a brand to get started or you don't want to just rely on branding. I call it cold outreach. So if you don't have any business and you need to drum up some, you're going to have to go talk to people that you don't know or interact with businesses that you may not have had experience with before. So we'll talk about cold outreach there. And then we'll start to get into the funnel process, which is really your follow ups. How do we take everything we've gotten from branding and cold outreach and actually convert them, right? Conversions, again, using that marketing term, taking them from one thing and moving them to the next thing throughout the process. How do we convert? Okay, so branding first, right? So I incorporated just a few examples of what you would do to brand yourself online and organically. This is non paid, meaning this is all just organic and starting from grassroots. You could do paid advertising. I always recommend that you have a solid foundational base before you do paid advertising. And usually that starts with organic. And that's why I'm going to go through branding right now. So, branding. Videos are such a hot commodity in so many different industries and aspects. Now, you need to be getting on videos. TikTok has changed the game. Instagram has caught up. Facebook stories. That is the consumable content that people are interacting with and engaging with these days. So we need to get videos created. And this is all just about understanding the numbers. This doesn't go into the strategy or anything. This is just what I need to execute. So here's an example brand plan if you really want to be aggressive. Three videos per week. So the platform I'm talking about in this specific instance is YouTube. Those are more long form videos, right? That's something that I'm going to apply and have been applying, as you can see, for my own business. Then we can go into social media posts. How do you brand yourself on social media? Well, you need a certain frequency of posts per day. I'm going to say 2 posts per day. Now, that could be 2 posts per day per platform. We could start to get into the nitty gritty of the strategy. And it really just depends on what you can afford to do yourself or, which we're going to get into in a little bit, to actually pay and delegate someone else to. Then I incorporated a couple other ideas here too. I mean, you can get even more granular with this. I'm actually going to delete these two, but I just want to at least show you kind of the process and methodology of what we're thinking to actually brand. So social media messages sent, LinkedIn and Facebook. So you can take it a step further on social media. How many messages did you send? How many requests did you send? And really, this should be a part of cold outreach, but I'm removing it entirely. And that's when you start to see some of these different items actually, connect. So let me take this out of here. Then we have blogs, 2 per month. Again, long form pieces of content. A great idea, though, that I've actually done and saw pretty good success from is when you create a long form piece of content, usually well thought out, well planned in advance, hugely constructed, and offers a humongous amount of value. You do that maybe in a video form or blog form. And then what you do with that long piece, that long content form, is you create it into all the other short forms, because that long form content, like a blog, like let's say it's 1,200 words or 1,500 words, that can be divided into 5 Facebook posts, 7 LinkedIn posts, a short 15-second video that you need to describe. That can all be consolidated from that initial, long piece of content. So that's why it's really important to do that. And again, these are examples of numbers you can control. And honestly, if you're just starting or you're trying to ramp up your business, these types of numbers are moderately aggressive. You can get even more aggressive because the platforms are saturated. There's a lot of people trying to publish content, but you need to be able to actually hang in there, publish content, and publish it consistently, and keep just offering value, and doing the best you possibly can. Okay, so that's some branding examples. Let's get into cold outreach. Cold outreach, part of my favorite, because I just have this desire to challenge myself and understand. Sorry, this shirt's itchy. I just have a desire to challenge myself and understand exactly like how to manifestation, right? How to turn from, something that wasn't there into something that is now there, alchemy, gold. How do we turn something from nothing? It's a hard process. Well, let's actually talk about hard process. I think it's not a hard process. It's really just a numbers game. Where we get in the way is, again, we let our mind say, oh, this doesn't work. Oh, no, nothing's happening here. We have to stick to the plan and follow the plan and just keep getting better, keep iterating, and then keep moving forward. But again, let's start off with cold outreach. So here's an example cold outreach plan that you can have. Emails. You got to figure out how to send 100 emails per day. 100 emails per day, which again is a good baseline. Does that necessarily mean new contacts? Well, no, because maybe if you just send 100 new contacts one email, and don't do any follow-ups with those emails, well then that's going to be troublesome, because that's like going into all these different businesses, going and saying hi for 15 seconds and then leaving. That doesn't count, right? That, you could do that, but that's not going to lead to long-term success. And that's why I'm going to get into the next category, but I want to stick on this one first. I just want to analyze those 100 emails per day. Those don't necessarily have to be to 100 new people. You can do follow-ups from previous emails. You can do, links in the chain from that, and that's what would really be effective. I actually put this in the wrong order, so let me put phone calls here because it just makes more sense. Phone calls is the next item, right? Okay, let's say you sent an email and then you responded a few times, but you got no response, but you've identified that they're the right client, you have the right value offer, so on and so forth, and you have expertise in the industry. So you can go make phone calls, right? Call them up. Calling, it takes a little more effort. Cold calling, people hesitate from that. It's not always the most fun thing to do, but if you give yourself a nice benchmark that per day or per hour or whatever it is, then you can continue to get business. So maybe it depends on your industry, but at least for clients that I'm going after, I want to make 8 to 15 calls per day. And then I'm going to do that from whatever and whatever time to make sure it's done efficiently. And then after that, an in-person visit. So let's say you've emailed, you've reached out via phone, and now you haven't got as much response, or maybe you have, but some things have died out. Go and see the client at their physical place of business. A lot of companies have not spent as much time on this because it's more laborsome. It takes more time, it takes more effort, and it takes a little more of a seasoned veteran and a seasoned individual to be able to pull this off and pull it off well with inherent social skills. So, but when done correctly and when done effectively, this is one of your most important avenues to get new business and get new clients. And again, this could be applied for a lot of different industries. I'm looking at a service-based industry where there's actually ongoing revenue and recurrent clients. But again, if you're selling cars, for instance, you need to talk to a certain amount of people per day, both via email, phone call, and in person. And that's part of your cold outreach strategy. Now, finally, let's get into follow-ups. Okay, so follow-ups and conversions, right? What does that actually mean? Taking someone from one part of your funnel and moving them through another piece of your funnel. That's what we're really trying to do. And I like to do that, at least for the industries that I serve, in what's called an impactful conversation. And you can understand what's happening there because, okay, these are the numbers that you can control, right? Cold outreach, email, phone calls, in-person visits, let's say. You can control how many pieces of content and branding that you're posting every day. You can control these. Now, follow-ups, you can also sort of control. This first one, though, this impactful conversations, it's not something you can necessarily, it's directly in your control because it involves another human being, but this is actually moving the ball forward. And this really pertains to, okay, I can't just go spam 100 businesses and send 100 emails and then you come back to me and say, David, this didn't work. Well, from that, you need to have some sort of success with that, right? Like an impactful conversation, what does that actually mean? An impactful conversation means a conversation that actually means something and actually is moving the ball forward. Whether it's, okay, an impactful conversation would be, I understand the needs better of this client. I found a value offer or I have potential ideas of a value offer that I can do to fill the need for that client. And I know a better next step on what to do. That's really what those impactful conversations really mean. So if we got to put a number to this, we got to have 5 per week, let's say. A demonstrations. Okay, demonstration of your product. If you're selling a software as a service, a SaaS company or SaaS product, you have to have a certain amount of demonstrations per you know, per frequency, I should say. So let's say you have 3 per week, you know, once you get all of this volume rolling, then after that, you should have 2 contracts signed per month. And again, I'm in the software as a service space, and this is more. These numbers are more applicable to the SaaS space or the service industry space, specifically digital advertising for my purposes. But again, these numbers and these categories remain the same. The numbers may change a little bit, and so might your sub bullet points. Like emails, phone calls, and in-person visits might be good for cold outreach, but when your follow-ups, maybe that's a follow-up phone call, or maybe it's an impactful conversation on the phone rather than in person. Maybe you don't need to give a demonstration of your product or your service. Maybe you need to make sure you walk them through the pamphlet or you walk them through whatever. And honestly, a demonstration is, whether you're selling a software or a product or whatever, a demonstration is always necessary. It could be in a local shop, it could be online via Zoom, whatever it is. I'm going to say contracts signed, and to make this more applicable for different industries, I'm going to say commitment. So, written commitment. You can have written commitment, but I'm actually going to add in here too verbal, verbal green, or verbal commitment. Yeah, let's say you have that. Just again, I'm just throwing numbers from what I see and just kind of intuitively, but again, you have to tweak it, right? So verbal green, verbal commitment, what does that really mean? So that's someone saying, yes, I'll buy your product. Guess what? They haven't bought anything yet. I learned this in selling cars. The deal is not done until they drive off the lot. That's it. The deal is not done until they drive off the lot. Anything can happen. Life happens. They can commit. They can do all the stuff that's right. But you know what? Oh, I can't do it because of X, Y, Z. I talked to my business partner. I talked to my associate. I talked to a competitor. I talked to my wife, and now I can't do it. So the verbal agreement is good. It's great, especially if you have recurring clients. If you get that and you already have established some rapport, it's a lot better. But it doesn't mean anything until that final step is done, whether it's a contract signed, a written commitment, and really the exchange of payment, right? So for the numbers here, I put in service-based business 5 per week, demonstrations 3 per week, verbal greens I need 3 per month, and contract signs 2 per month. And again, this is more entry to intermediate level starting. So you can customize these numbers however you like, but you got to have some sort of plan. And to actually put a metric and a number in each one of these categories and buckets allows you to figure out, okay, if you're stuck at one, like, okay, you're doing all this, you've been doing it for a few weeks, few months, whatever it is, but like I'm not having as many impactful conversations. Well, okay, then we need to go back to the drawing board and we need to say, okay, is my value offer good enough? How can I make it better? How can I construct this in a better way that people understand what I'm talking about? How can I make it simple? How can I figure that process out? And when you do that and you systematize it, then you'll start to move the needle in a better direction. And it's the same thing for marketing, same thing for sales. I have to have a certain amount of website visits to the website to sell a product online. From that, I need to have a certain amount of page views. From that, I need to have a certain conversion rate. And from that, finally, I actually get to sell products. So knowing the numbers and working them backwards is pretty crucial. I always like working it backwards too, because if you know you need a certain amount of sales per month, then basically you can use this as an outline if it fits for your business, or just take it and tweak it a little bit. This is how, over a period of time, you will have overall sales success. And guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It takes time. It takes time. It takes time and manpower. Usually, if you're just starting something, you're going to be doing a lot of this. Sorry. Um, or if you have the resources, you could pay someone to do a lot of this for you. That's okay. So, whatever it is, um, that's important as well. Now, there's a lot of mental games to play with it too. Do I have the right value offer? Am I good enough? If am I doing the right thing? This isn't working. Blah 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 blah. Then you start to fight with yourself, right? You start to fight. You start to doubt. That's why the number takes the emotion out of it. Knowing the numbers and hitting the numbers, right, and having a goal. Really, these are goals, sales goals of items that are in your control, and understanding the items that are outside your control will really, really help. Now, to help overcome some of those thoughts that may run through your brain or your sales team's brain, I want to just talk about some best practices that I've found really help me and really help teams that I work with actually move forward. Okay, best tips. Just take action. Focus on numbers you can control. That's first and foremost. It doesn't matter if you have the best value product. It doesn't matter if you have all the speech down. It doesn't matter if you don't know exactly what you're going to say. Just start taking action and do it consistently. That is step number one. If you cannot do this, you can't go to any of the other steps. It does not matter. It does not matter. You will figure out the rest of it on the way. Just take action. And I recommend when you take action, make it a habit to take action. Do it at the same times every day. Designate certain times and certain places to take action. Like, okay, I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go to this place. I know whatever list I'm going to call or email or whatever it is, and I'm going to do it for this amount of time. You want to take a couple breaks, whatever it is, but make it a habit. Habits, when we're not on our game, habits are going to be the best resources to rely upon. So just take freaking action. That's number one. You take action, you need to review the action that you took over multiple periods of time, right? So what that means is just taking action is great. You need it. That's a baseline, that's a foundation. But if you want to improve and you want to, if you want to better yourself, you need to review the action that you take. And you have to do it regularly. And you have to have a plan to do it regularly. Now, you don't want to take so much review where you end up not doing anything, right? And overanalyzing. And people that like to think a lot are in very technical industries. It's tough to do that, or tend to do that, I should say. But you need to review the action that you take over multiple periods of time. So, what can those multiple periods of time be? I like to think of it in a 3-stage process: short, medium, long. Okay. If you're just starting out with something, you need action. You need to be able to review things on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and a 3-month basis. And honestly, if you're just starting, I'm going to say 1 day to 1 week, right? You got to review stuff. You got to review stuff. How am I getting better? How am I doing? Blah, 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 blah. And then you got to have the mindset of saying, how can I improve? And that's what these reviewing the action really means. So, for example, short, medium, long, 1 day to a week would be short. 1 month would be a little bit medium. 3 months would be long. And then if you want to continue that long term or actually broaden out the scale and do it over years, you can. But this is more short action plan to get immediate results. Okay, when you're reviewing, write down ideas on how to improve and overcome the challenges. You're going to face obstacles. You're going to face challenges. I do not want you to write down the challenges. Do not write down the challenges. Do not write down the obstacles. Reason why is because your mind gravitates towards things, especially when you write them down. Forget the challenges. Forget the obstacles. They're just things in the way. They're just like, okay, when you're driving down the road and you see a traffic cone, are you obsessing about the traffic cone? If you are, you shouldn't, because usually when you do, you're going to hit it. If you just keep looking forward, in your mind goes, okay, I need to avoid the traffic cone. I need to focus on that. And you avoid it. Don't focus on the traffic cone, because if you do, you'll hit it. Write down ideas on how to improve and overcome the challenges. You want to do it in a positive way. You don't want to focus on the negative. You want to focus on the positive. So that way you're wiring your brain over time to focus on, okay, I do have this obstacle, but it's an opportunity to overcome. So I have this idea, how to do it. I'm going to test all 3 of them and see which one works the best, and then I'm going to move forward. That's how you can actually overcome over time. I already touched on this one a little bit, but you want to turn your numbers into habits. When you turn your numbers into habits and you actually just habitualize doing all this stuff and you do something where it's sustainable for you and it's not going to be like burn you out, and that takes some trial and error, then you really start to get into the groove. It's like brushing your teeth, right? That's what you want to make these numbers and obtaining these numbers and doing the action for them. That's what you want to do. And actually, over a period of time, something that maybe you get the jitters for, like sending an email or dialing up a phone, you'll actually start to get excited about it. Actually start to go like, oh, I like this, I can handle this, this is okay. So turn your numbers into habits. A way to turn into habits, again, like I said, you want to have a specific time in the day where you do it. You want to have, there's a great book on habits. There's a lot of them. The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg is pretty good. Atomic Habits is also good. Um, Real quick, I'm not going to get into habits, but cue, routine, reward. The most important thing in that, at least for me, the biggest challenge I had was the cue. Like, I need a cue to do something. The reward I had was actually making progress, and the routine I already had it mapped out. But the cue, meaning it's 9 a.m. I'm by my computer in my place. Now I know I need to do this because that's what I need to do. Cue, routine, reward. That's your habits. So turn your numbers into habits. Last but certainly not least, be comfortable doing these items, but as you grow and get better, learn how to do the following: eliminate, automate, or delegate. I got that tip from Qasim Aslam at Solutions 8. Very, very good content. And I think he got it from somebody else. As you can tell, I like the threes, do things in threes. But learn how to do the following. I'm going to repeat them again: eliminate, automate, or delegate. Now, if you're a business owner and you want to grow your business, maybe in the beginning, you have to do a lot of these tasks yourself, especially if you don't have financial backing. However, do you want to be doing these tasks all yourself forever? No, you shouldn't have to be. Most of your time in an ideal time and places, you should have ideas. You should talk to people. You should educate yourself and learn and figure out how you're going to move your company forward. That's what entrepreneurial success is really about. So that is freeing your mind from all of this stuff. Now, in the beginning, I think it's beneficial to know how to do, but always keep this in mind. Have an action plan of how to get yourself out of it, too. How am I going to eliminate this task? Maybe I can't. Maybe I can't eliminate doing 2 blogs per month. Okay, well, if you can't eliminate, can I automate it? Well, blogs are pretty important content. I can get, I use a lot of my content from blogs, so maybe I can't automate it. Well, maybe I have to delegate it then. Maybe I need to give it to somebody else. Okay, if I need to send 100 emails per day, am I actually going to click and clack and send 100? 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, I don't. I don't want to do that, and I currently don't do that now. No way. That'd be crazy. I don't want to do that. You can do it for a period of time. That's okay, especially if you're just beginning. And I think it's good to know, but automate it. There's plenty of platforms out there to help you automate email marketing, and you can use a myriad of them: SendPulse, Mailchimp, Constant Contact, Omni, Mailshake. There's tons. So it really just depends. You'll have to do some research about which one makes sense, but pay to automate, and it actually helps. And then, of course, pretty much all of these items there's nothing on here that I can eliminate because I think that they're all important. But maybe over time, I find that, Facebook posts are not really getting as much traffic as LinkedIn posts because LinkedIn has a better organic reach as a platform. Okay, well, maybe it's not effective to do Facebook anymore, and maybe then I'll eliminate it. That could be, or reduce that from 2 posts a day to 1, then we can eliminate it. That's when you can eliminate. And everything else, you want to get into automation or delegation. I think all of these will be great, but you want to get into automation and delegation. And that would be how to automate and how to delegate in real time, especially in a industry that is changing so rapidly. I'm going to give you some tips on that in the near future. So, everyone, if you don't know the sales strategy, you could and might potentially fail. You have to know the numbers. And you have to focus on the numbers you can control. And if you keep doing this, you keep iterating, and you keep consistent and keep getting a little bit better every single day, you will learn, you will improve, and you will find success. Guaranteed. Thank you very much for watching. That's 30 minutes on the dot. I love it. I didn't even plan that. If you like this content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I just want to give you guys as much value as I possibly can. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. David Feldman-Makrias. Peace out.